Hey, we will present you the summary about Oliver Twist's book. So let's go! At the Oliver Twist birth, his mother died. He was born in a workhouse, and then he went to an orphanage. When he asked for some more porridge, Mr. Bumble, the workhouse's director, gave Oliver Twist to Mr. Soberry, the coffin shop boss, to work with him. Mr. Sowerberry gave dog's food to Oliver Twist. Oliver met Noah, who was jealous of him. He talked to Oliver about his mother, so they fought. Oliver was punished and sent to the dark room where Mr. Sowerberry hit him. But he forgot to lock the door when he left. So Oliver decided to run away from the Sowerberry's shop. Oliver Twist walked and walked for a very long time to arrive at London. He started to walk again in London when he met a nice boy named Jack Dawkins, the Artful Dodger. They walked together in London street when they arrived to a dark house. Inside the dark house, Oliver met an old man, Fagin. This man gave to Oliver good food, good bed. Oliver slept in his house. The next morning, Oliver woke up and saw Fagin with a jewels box hidden. He was surprised when some boys came to give to Fagin wallets and handkerchiefs.
Oliver was with Fagin, Charlie Bates and the Dodger. They were playing a strange game. They stole jewelry and handkerchief. People saw Oliver and wanted to catch him. When a policeman caught Oliver, Mr. Brownlow, the bookseller, told to the policeman that it was not him and wanted to let him go and come with him. Charlie and the Dodger told it to Fagin and he said it to Sykes, his friend, who said, "We must find that boy." Mr. Brownlow hosted Oliver to his house. He was weak and ill. Mrs. Bedwin, the housekeeper, brought Oliver to a sunny bedroom. Oliver woke up and he saw a painting of a beautiful lady. Then Mr. Brownlow showed him his library. Mr. Brownlow asked Oliver to go to the bookshop in London, but Nancy found Oliver and took him in Fagin's house. Oliver tried to run away, but Fagin hit him. Mr. Brownlow and Mrs. Bedwin waited Oliver, but he never came. Fagin and Sykes wanted to steal in the big house outside London. They needed a small and thin boy, and Fagin said that Oliver will be perfect. Oliver woke up and saw new shoes. Fagin said that he had a job for him, and he said that Oliver must go to see Bill Sykes. After that, Nancy told to Oliver to be quiet with Sykes. Sykes took a pistol and brought Oliver with him. In the big house, Oliver went into the small window and started going up the stairs. Two men appeared and one hurt Oliver. He ran away and Sykes said that they led him in the house's garden. Oliver was cold and couldn't see or hear anything. The two men ran after Sykes and Toby Crockett, but they turned around because there were fog. Oliver lay down all the night.
Oliver woke up a morning. It was raining hard. He was weak and his left arm was terribly hurted. He saw he was covered with blood, and then he saw the big country house and thought to himself maybe people in that house could help him. So he knocked at the door, but fell to the ground before Mr. Giles and Mr. Britton opened it. They were surprised to see the boy from last night. Mr. Giles proposed to Rose Miley to see the thief, but she refused. Rose Miley lived with her aunt, Mrs. Miley. Rose told to Mr. Giles to take Oliver in his room and to Mr. Brittle to call the Dr. Rosenberg. When Rose saw Oliver, she didn't believe it. For her, he's too young for be a thief. Mr. Rosenberg said Oliver must stay here now. His arm will be okay soon, and he will be come back tomorrow for see him. When Oliver woke up, he told the story of his life to Rose. She called the teach, forgave to Oliver listens. After 3 months, like Oliver was very happy with his new family, Rose and Mrs. Miley took him to their cottage, but when they returned to London, Oliver saw Fagin and monks in the garden. Monks went to the workhouse in order to ask Mr. Bumble questions about a boy who was born in the workhouse 12 years ago and paid him to know everything. Monks wanted to talk with Mr. Bumble's wife because she was with Oliver's mother when she died, and according to Monks, she gave something to Mr. Bumble's wife. So Monks asked to Mr. and Mrs. Bumble to meet him near the river the next day night at 8 o'clock. The next night, after a long discussion, Monks wanted to see the ring with a name inside, Agnes. According to Nancy, Oliver is in danger. Nancy went to Miley's house about something important, a terrible secret.
Oliver wanted to see Mr. Brownlow, so Rose and Oliver went to see him. They took a carriage, and when they arrived, Rose said to Oliver to wait for a few minutes. Rose met Mr. Brownlow, and they talked about Oliver. Mr. Brownlow wanted to see Oliver after Rose told to Mr. Brownlow about the Nancy's secret. Mr. Brownlow was very surprised. They had to see Monks because he knew a lot of things. At 11 o'clock on Sunday night, Nancy left to see Mr. Brownlow and Rose, but a Faggin's boy followed them and sees them. Mr. Brownlow and Rose asked at Nancy to talk about Fagin and Sykes, but she didn't say anything, and she came back at home. Nancy has such a difficult life, said Rose and Mr. Brownlow. In the night, when Nancy back home, the little boy told Fagin and Sykes everything he saw. Sykes and Fagin was furious. Sykes went to kill Nancy. He woke her. Nancy tried to explain, but Sykes wouldn't understand anything, and hit Nancy's face again and again. He killed her. Sykes washed his hand and face. He couldn't stay here. He decided to go in France. In London, Mr. Brownlow, Dr. Losberne, and another friend went to kidnap Monks. They locked him in a room. They told him he was the Oliver's brother. Mr. Brownlow told him all the story. Mr. Brownlow said the police wanted to talk to Monks because Nancy died. Monks gave the money to Oliver, so Mr. Brownlow let him go. Charlie Bates was very angry with Sykes and asked him why he killed Nancy. Sykes got angry and pushed him when suddenly they heard a voice outside. Sykes went to the windows and saw a lot of hungry people with torches. Sykes tried to escape on the roof, but he fell to the street and he died. Finally, Fagin was hanged for all his crime, and Charlie Bates began a new and honest life. Monks went to America, but he didn't do any honest work there. He became a thief and died in prison. Mr. and Mrs. Bumble became very poor and went to live in a workhouse, and Mr. Brownlow adopted Oliver. He grew up, and Mr. Brownlow sent him to the best schools. Oliver finally found a loving family, true friends, and a comfortable home.